Delegate Page, principal here at U32. I want to welcome those who may be online for us. You probably can barely see me if you can see me at all right now. We have various people here. I don't know everybody's name yet, but I am going to introduce you to Trish. She is with the Department of Environmental Conservation, and she is going to be the person who provides us with their opening information. And we really appreciate everybody from the Department of Environmental Conservation, the Department of Health, and the AOE for being here with us during this time. And thank you. I'll turn this over to Trish.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce my team that's with me here from the various state agencies. So I am Trish Capolino. I'm the Senior Program Manager for the Contaminated Sites Program within the Department of Environmental Conservation. And within the Department of Conservation with me is Evan Pendleton. He's our PCB Program Manager, and Rob Farley, who is the Project Manager for this school. I don't want to help introduce themselves.
I'm from the Vermont Department of Health. I'm Sarah Owen. I'm the state toxicologist, and I have Danielle Thorkelson with me. She's our PCB coordinator.
And with the Agency of Education, Jill. So I'm going to go through some of the work around PCBs in schools. I'm sorry to be here talking with you about this, but hopefully we can answer a lot of the questions that you might have related to the work that we're doing. So starting off with what PCBs are, they are polychlorinated biphenyls. They are man-made chemicals that are used in building materials. PCBs were banned by EPA in 1979. They don't break down quickly in the environment. They are 100% made by Monsanto and have been the only manufacturer of this chemical in the United States. And Vermont law requires all schools that are built before 1980 to be tested for PCBs.
PCBs were banned because they are persistent, bioaccumulative, and toxic chemicals. So they do persist in our bodies for a very long time, and they can bioaccumulate up our food chain, and they are toxic. PCBs do increase our risk of cancer. They're causative for malignant melanoma, and there are associations between PCB exposure, breast cancer, and liver cancer. PCBs can also affect our health in other ways. PCBs can affect the immune system, especially during development. PCBs can also alter the reproductive system, making it more difficult for reproduction. PCBs can impact the neurodevelopment of brains, especially when babies are developing. And PCBs can also affect our endocrine system. So that's these are the many reasons why this is an important program, why this was passed to test for PCBs in schools. Luckily, your school has very few detections that are of significant health concern. So we just wanted to let you know that despite some of these health effects, which are serious, there are some pretty good data at your school.
Some of the other ways that PCBs can enter your body is through our diet. So there's historic sources of PCBs within fish, meat, and dairy products. Indoor air has stuff that contains PCBs and coming into contact with PCBs through your skin. And then ingesting is also another way that you can be impacted by PCBs. When we started this program, we asked the Department of Health to derive school action levels for us that will indicate when a school needs to take an action. And so when we look at these, we have different values for different age groups. So 30 nanograms per cubic meter for pre-K, 60 nanograms for kindergarten through 6th grade, and 100 for 7th through adults. Some of the work that we asked the Department of Health to help us with was coming up with immediate action levels. So this is when a room or space should be used based on concentration. And so the immediate action levels are 3 times the school action levels. So the framework that we have to look at PCBs in the schools currently requires a consultant to come to the school to conduct an inventory. And that involves having a consultant go into all the different spaces in a school to look for building materials that could potentially have PCBs in them. They'll go into all these spaces and they'll put them into groups. So they'll take all these spaces that have similar building materials, similar heating and cooling systems, similar construction or renovation dates, and put them into the group. 30% of rooms in the group will be tested. So if there are 10 rooms in the group, 3 of those rooms will be tested. The grouping also allows us to extrapolate data from the tested rooms into untested rooms because we are saying that they have similar building materials. It also helps us looking to provide different occupancy options to balance keeping kids in schools with a healthy learning environment. This is a picture of what the air sampler looks like. So this is what the air sampling media is. The air pump is down here, and so the pump pulls air through this, and this part goes off to the lab, and that samples to see what the PCB concentrations in the space are. Some of the detections in the school here, in the basement, the range was 46 to 130, and there were 9 spaces that were sampled. On the ground floor was 27 to 210, and there are 37 samples collected there, and on the upper floor ranged from 17 to 170 with 22 spaces sampled. This is an image for you to see what the grouping looked like and also how some of the sample results came out. But if you look at where the darker circles are, those are the locations that had concentrations that were greater than 100. Yeah. All right, so next steps. What are we going to do at the school? The school's already hired a consultant. They hired Stone Environmental to help them work through the process of identifying PCBs and building materials and identify ways to mitigate and remove those sources. We're going to purchase air filtration units for the spaces that have concentrations greater than 100 nanograms per cubic meter in them. These carbon air filters, the PCBs have an affinity to the carbon in the air filters, and so when they operate, they remove the PCBs from the air to try and reduce indoor air concentrations. And then part of the process is to adopt an occupancy strategy. So how will the school move forward while we're doing this work? And right now, the occupancy option that was selected was to start work within 6 weeks. So hire a consultant, start doing the work, and put air filters in spaces. This decision is supported by the Health Department, Department of Environmental Conservation, and the Agency of Education. Oh, boy. Thank you. The next part, the consultant is to develop an investigation and remediation plans. So the first part will be for Stone Environmental to provide us with a work plan that lets us know how they want to sample the different building materials in the school, so we can try and identify what building materials have PCBs in them. After that work is complete, they will work with us to do what we call a corrective action plan ultimately, which will talk about how to mitigate or remove the PCBs in the school to reduce indoor air concentrations. During this time, there will be additional indoor air sampling that will happen that will help us confirm that air filters are working and that concentrations in other spaces are not increasing. This is a visual for you on how this process works. So starting at the top here, if you have results that are above the school action level, we go to this spot right here, which is the material sampling. That's taking samples of the actual building materials, the concrete, the mastic, the paint that could have PCBs in them. Those results right here help us understand how to move forward to do a cleanup. And then once we do the cleanup, we retest the indoor air to show that the work that was done is effective. This process is iterative, it takes some time. And so the process that we working through in time, we are okay with that because we're continuing to reduce indoor air concentrations of use of filters during that time frame. And that is the end of the process for us and the presentation. And now I'd really like to hear if anyone has any questions that we can